Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the welcome and the ability to come and to present the ASH to you today. I have put an ASH pamphlets out at the door there. You're welcome to take one or more with you. It describes the ASH in a little bit detail. Just in terms of the ASH Association, South Africa, the Coal Ash Association has been around in excess of 30 years. It started where it was a waste, where the academics, together with the industry, together with the producers, got together and they started trying to use applications for it. At one stage, through the dedication of that, South Africa was at the forefront of world trends in terms of ash utilization. Then, you know what it's like when things go well, we just take the foot off the gas, and 30 years later we are only beneficiating 10% of the ash in terms of the world trends. America 60%, India the likewise. So we have got catch up to do, but we have got the intelligence and the will. We also engage with international partners, and they are around the world, where we have webinars together at least 3 times a year. So without further ado, let me just share with you what South Africa has achieved. The Katse Dam was built with South African ash. The engineers tell me that without the ash, that could not be done. What happens is the ash, fly ash particularly, is a little micron. If you look at it under a microscope, it is microns, but it is a round spherical, and that spherical it allows it to permeate and to bond. So it's the density of the concrete is what gives you the benefit. Then there's also the heat hydration. It is a lower heat hydration, so you don't get cracking. So around the steel structures, that is what happens. You'll also find in Port Elizabeth, in the coast, you find these dolosses that stop the waves from beating the oceans. Because of the ash contact in there, the durability of those things can survive. If it was just pure concrete, they would crack, and the steel in the inside would be produced. If I can just share with you, the Burj Khalifa Hotel is the highest building in the world in Dubai, made with South African ash in the foundations. It was so successful in South Africa that Ash Resources actually had an office in the Middle East where they were selling ash, South African, from Letabo Power Station. Those are success stories that we as South African, but we don't preach them all the time. We just think as waste, 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 and we've backed this up with scientific research. The third house, that little ash house there, you won't believe, is a zero cement house. It is made of a geopolymer and ash, and it's made like a Lego blocks. Even that plaster that you see there is done with a sludge of the like, where it is sprayed on the pigment in the ash, so you don't have to repaint it. A little house like that. If you go inside it in the summertime, it's cool. The insulation properties of it. And because it's built like a Lego, you don't need the skilled labor that can do. So we can take that to rural quite easily to do that. So those are a few of the success stories. There's another one. This is the Philharmonic in Germany that was built with gypsum panels. If you just look at that beautiful symphony, and the Japanese technology used it with laser beams. They detected, and they built this whole thing using a gypsum product, panels. We can do exactly the same. We've got gypsum, except in South Africa, we throw it on a dump site. But we won't talk about that now, so that's off the record. but it's work that needs to be done. Just on the shores of South Africa, the Maputo-Katembe Bridge was launched last year. That bridge was built with South African ash. The bridge, if I can just show you these beams there, 136 meters in height, with an equidistance underground for the foundation because of the soil quantity. That is the longest suspension bridge in Africa, and it has made that whole island of Katembe now economically viable. The 40% ash that was used in the concrete, we had to fight for it because it came with Chinese funding, German engineering, where they wanted to bring the ash from China and the like. And we said, no, let us put ours in. And we managed to, with scientific research, with test certificates, convince them to put the ash in the specification. Now, a project like that requires reliability, and it requires availability. You can't start. Once they start pouring those concrete, it needs to be reliable. So our producers in that regard have to be partners, because they can't say you can have ash today, you can't have ash tomorrow, and the trends. It needs to be a complete infrastructure, and we were able to do that. All of that transportation is done by rail, so you must know, going through the Maputo border with a truck with ash on while they're waiting for it there, the paperwork, it's quite a challenge, but we managed to do that successfully, or our members did that. Then ash is just not ash. Let me just share with you that there's different types. In South Africa, all our ash is Class F, where in Europe it's a Class C. That definition comes from the age of the coal. Ours is an anthracitic, where in a Class C is more calcium, where ours is more a silicon type. So ours needs a reactor to do that, and the cement gives us that. Okay, so you have classified. Classified means it's classified through a process, a centrifugal process, where you take the ash, fly ash, to less than 50 microns, and below that. Above that would be sort of unclassified. Unclassified comes straight out of the plant, straight into the trucks and to site. So theoretically, it's not a waste, because it's never reached a dump site, and it comes out of the source into the truck, into a product. But in any case, the legislation covered it all, so we had to comply. Clinker ash comes from the old chain grate boilers. Very good for brick making, and that source is nearly depleted. We are coming to the end of the road with that. Bottoms ash comes out the bottom of the chain grate or the boilers, where it's a little bit more coarse, also good for brick making, etc. And economizer ash is just a process. Some power stations have economizers, and then in the SACAA environment you've got gasified ash. But then you've got various ones. You've got bottoms ash, you've got dump ash. So there's terminology. So when you want an application for ash, we always start with, what is your beneficiate and what are you going to use it for, so that we can help you use the correct application. Okay, so what is important for ash? Ash is important that the generators must have an appetite to be your partners. Now, right now, in Eskom, they generate in excess of about 3 million tons a year, or cumulatively we do about 3 million tons. But the appetite of the market now is running towards 4 million and 5 million, and we're having challenges because we haven't kept up the supply chain or the value chain because of the stop-start with the power stations, reliability, and those sort of things. New products. For every waste that you have, we've realized if you don't have a beneficiating use for it, it will remain a waste. So we need to start upstreaming, upskilling, identifying new products, new equipment that we can use ash, because it doesn't help we take ash from here and dump it there. We need to from here to a beneficiating. And when you're generating in the region of 50 million tons a year, you're going to have a problem of beneficiating that, but we can do a lot better. So naturally, every product needs to be life cycle costing. It needs to be profitable. And so we help and facilitate that. And then the utilization needs to be a little bit more consistent. The availability, it doesn't help you sell it. So is all ash available? Definitely not. Some of these power stations have been designed and built to actually dump their ash because they've got water and things like that that they have to do. However, the new power stations are dry-cooled and the opportunities are a lot better there. But none of the new power stations have got infrastructure to remove ash at the moment, which is a challenge that we are working with. So, as an association, what we said is we generate about 10%. And we have now started to pick that up, and I'll share a little bit on the numbers for you. What are the limiting factors for the movement of ash is your transportation. Our rail infrastructure has collapsed from what it was, so they need to, we got lots of challenges. You know, in the old days you had lots of offshoots where you could dump a rail, but those opportunities have become a lot less, and your road transport is very expensive, and the road infrastructure needs attention. You know, where you see a lot of movement of traffic, the roads need things. So we're working together with Transnet, we're working together with logistics companies. And I heard the discussion this morning to also say, can we get reverse logistics? Wherever there's trucks going back to and fro and there's empty, is there opportunities? So we look at that as well. And we got work streams that are running on that. Naturally, it will always remain a waste, but the benefits is for every ton of ash that you use and you don't use cement, because it is an extender, you have a 1-to-1 benefit in CO2 emissions. So the more you can use ash in your processes, you can actually get credits for that. However, what we learned yesterday, the CO2s is relatively new, but it is a good selling point for our product and that. So we have a good association also with the Department of Environmental Affairs, or DAF as they are now known. And together we are working with that regulations that ash is no longer or can be exempted from being a hazardous waste, and that is helping us. We've had a little bit of success where it is now been gazetted and it's out for the 30-day participation or comments, and let's hope those go. And then once it's exempt, BEEs and SMMEs could really be advantaged in terms of getting those licenses and expectance. Okay, so what is the opportunities is there's been a lot of research done, and I'll share with you a little bit more on the research in which roles it is. Ash utilization rules need to be developed. Because it is new applications, new beneficiatings, the rules typically is in the civil engineering, there might need to be specification changes, then there might need to be pilot sites, demonstration sites, etc. Youth development is also important for the country. And then I mentioned there about a Pakisa initiative, and I'll just go on to that in a little bit later. When the president took over, these were his first guidelines that he did there, is create 1 million jobs, prioritize growth and investment, contain state debt and spending. So there they are, and when we looked at that, we said ash can play a role in all of those. It plays a role in all of those. And we'll share a little bit more about the Pakisa now. Pakisa is an initiative that was started in Malaysia. Malaysia started this with a waste economy. They created a waste economy, and with that, they saw the downturn in the crime as well. So South Africa adopted this, and you've heard about the oceans economy. There is now a waste economy, and the Pakisa means hurry up, but it's hurry up. I think we should rather say Baleka or Gajima. We must be running. We shouldn't be still Pakisang. Okay, so what does the waste stream looks like? This was at the 2014 stats that was done by the CSIR. Fly ash is the second biggest waste, and if you look at between the bulk organic and the fly ash, you can see the drop from 40 down to 36, down to 8. So it's a massive stream. So what we have looked at is we've analyzed that. The 50 million tons per annum is in total what's generated, and the utilized, we say between 8 and 10%. In the Pakisa initiative, this is the goals that we've chosen ourselves, is we want to increase jobs, we want to create an economy, and we want to reduce the environmental footprint. We've been conservative. We took 30 years to do 10%. Now we want to do 20% in 5 years. It's doable. It's doable. But with the waste regulations taking maybe 3 years just to get the regulations, we better not Pakisa, we better Gajima or whatever it is. Okay, so I am really confident that South Africa has got the research. We need to take the research now and commercialize it. We understand the people of South Africa need jobs. We can play that role. I also believe that ash has got the solution to take away these informal infrastructures. People can have better housings. And ash, I showed you that house. It's possible. The ash brick is possible. We just need to make sure that when we empower those people, that their bricks that they make is a quality and that we can support them, and that's what we're working hard to do. So what is the jobs that we've committed to is 28,000. I believe that that can be trebled once the steamroller starts. You just need to do the first or second or third project, and then it'll start rolling. We have also in this regard said that sometimes the ash needs to be mobile. We understand that transport is expensive, but the people in the Northern Cape where they don't have power stations can also build houses by ash, so we must get the ash to them cheaper, and we must find solutions and not the problems. What did other countries do? Other countries have given tax incentives. You can see India actually pay their companies to do, and we as South Africa need to close our doors because they will be selling here. So we've got an opportunity in the rest of Africa. Just this week alone, we've got a request from Nigeria for a potential of getting ash from us, and that request came from our international partners that forwarded it to us from both Europe and America, just to say, we are on the doorstep, why are you not talking to us? Okay, emission funding, we've heard that there's going to be costs, but we need some of that funding, because to start up companies, it does take a little bit of funding, we have got the competence. Policies need to change, specifications. You know, the policies, for argument's sake, do we do a borough pit for road building when we've got an ash that can be the substitute? It's policy changes. So we need to attack those things. And we need the clever people around the business and a little bit more strategic in the boardroom discussions and not just someone lower down. Producers to fund ash utilization by free delivery alternatives. So we need to look at what are the options that we can do. Then our Deputy President, Ruth, just put up your hand there. Ruth is our Deputy President for the South African Coal Ash Association. She developed this, and this is a mind map of what is required from each role player. From the government, the government must influence the policies. From the producer, that we've all got legislation, all of us, and we must all be compliant. But we can be done. So if we use these hierarchies, what we do, and each role player, so when the ash user downstream comes there, he doesn't say, I want ash. He says, I've got a site, my site is compliant, my site has got the basic risk assessment, it's got all of those compliance, then we can start talking to you. But the guys start is, I want to start and I've got nothing. So we've got this mind map rolled out, and that is just to facilitate us that each one knows I have got a responsibility and a role to play. These presentations will be available if you would like to. So what we've done as the Ash Association is we've got skill sets in the brick and block for many years. We've got soil amelioration. Soil amelioration is 4 subsets. Soil amelioration is soil enhancements. It is sludge. Sludge is a sewage, and ash makes a sludge, non-odorless, and it's also can then be converted. So we're working with municipalities on that. It also has acid mine drainage. Acid mine drainage is a massive problem, particularly in the disused mines that don't have owners anymore. Ash is a catalyst for that, where it actually takes just mixing ash and water, and it takes the pH up to nearly drinking water. So ash can be responsibly done. And then mine backfilling. We're looking at large volumes to be backfilled in mines, and that could be a solution to stopping the zamas from going down those mines and stealing infrastructure that can prevent. We've also got then roads and embankments. That's big in Europe. In South Africa, we've got the research. We just need the trial runs and the specs changed, working with our colleagues. To convert an engineer, they say, show me the spec. That's how it works, unfortunately. And then the other, we've got brick and block, including cementitious. The cementitious is 90% of our ash currently goes into the cementitious. We see the other opportunities in other areas. And then the last one would be ash export. Ash export, like I said, we have been doing successfully now. That would be a big generator for us, because it also does. Thank you. Okay, so there's the ones that I've spoken to: mine rehabilitation, acid, and all of those. Lightweight concretes is big in the thing. So what work must start now is we need to start creating the Madupes and the Kusiles to become active, that the ash supplier. It's a dry ash. It's currently a waste. Dump to landfill. Show me what you do in Eskom. That's the bottom line. It's critical to limit the dumping from day one. So Kusile is now coming on to Unit 4, where Madupe is on Unit 6 already. Why have you not implemented some part of beneficiation. And considering Pakisa is a president initiative, we'll just wait for them to unbundle Eskom, and then we will be there with our placards. Okay. Job creations, a solution for Africa. There's no alternative. You know, when people are hungry, let me share with you, how many of you know Johannesburg Orlando Power Station? What is it now? It's a bungee jumping. Where's the ash of Orlando Power Station? Have you seen the ash dumps there? How did the ash move? They removed the fence, the ash removed itself. Beneficiated. Okay, I'll Pakisa because I need to run. So what needs to be done? Yeah, unpack all research papers. There's a lot of research done. We don't need to reinvent the wheel, but as long as it stays in research, it stays on someone's desk. How do we get it to the commercial streams? And we had a conference about that 2 weeks ago, so now it's common knowledge because it's been written in the papers. We need to write up information and norms and standards. We're busy with that. Innovation center and training workshops. We need place. We've got so much demonstration stuff, but we don't have a demonstration to people to see, feel, touch. And whenever I show my samples, people say, wow, and I've got lots of stories to tell. Have a clear access to the ASH roadmap for infrastructure development. Set and measure targets. We need to start setting and giving Eskom targets and then behavior change. Drive the projects and clear out the obstacles. A lot of obstacles, legislation, all of those things. And thank you very much. That is my talk.